we're gonna start with Ahsoka episode 4 review. We're gonna start non-spoilers.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard to do for this episode, I think.
Yeah, but I guess just
general thoughts.
Yeah, general thoughts.
Better than last week for sure.
Yeah.
This one had a very real conclusion, I feel. Even though it sets up more for the next episode, I feel fine like waiting for the next episode compared to last week where I was like, oh, we're done. I
think the difference between this episode and last week's episode is there's not there is no difference because it left me wanting more. It's just last week's left me wanting more because I was like, what the fuck? I want more.
Yeah.
What was it? And then this one, I want more because I'm like, okay, this is really cool.
Yeah, right. So it's a better leaving you wanting more rather than like feeling disappointed. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we should probably get into spoilers. No? Okay.
Just if nobody wants to just to preface the general thoughts before, you can pause it and do spoilers in just a second. But I think overall this episode had a lot more confrontation and different interesting interactions between characters where there was some foreshadowing about what certain characters want and there being a bit of maybe a betrayal setup.
I mean, feels like it.
So I will say that instead of just having the dynamics between characters be very status quo.
Yeah, right.
It was very interesting and
they take some really bold decisions.
Yeah. And I think that's what I really appreciate about this episode.
Yeah, it doesn't feel safe.
No.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this episode.
I like this episode too.
Yeah.
But sure.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can we just do it?
Can we just come on? But yeah, so this episode starts off. I mean, first thing that I think that's big is the duel fight that happens in the woods, right? Or do we want to go before that?
Yeah. Okay. Before that, I like how serious and the tone feels at the beginning. I really appreciate that. The only issue I will have about the episode in general before I get to the stuff I really liked is when we are introducing the Hera and New Republic side of things,
right?
It's a completely different
tone shift.
Yeah, and that I wish would have been handled with the same tone that the rest of the series and the episode is taking, because I love Hera, but I do think that there's a way that a lot of those we didn't need this
hopeful band together.
No, I mean I like that. Yeah. It was more of when she is like, I'm leaving the base, come up with an excuse, and then he's like, come up with an excuse. Come up with it. I'm like,
you're like, oh, okay, so it's kind of too comedic for you there. Yeah.
There's just but there did feel like a big change in tone, and then we go back to this very
that's super fair. I think funny enough, that might be your one complaint, but while I was watching it during the episode, I was thinking, gosh, the X-Wing, New Republic guys, they are literally they might be a top 3 favorite thing in the universe that they've in this little, I guess, Mandalorian universe they've created, because I don't know, I love the feeling of the aesthetic from the original trilogy still being there, and then you also make them these kind of Lone Ranger detectives going off to corners of the galaxy, and I don't know, I think they're all super cool. I love the little crew that she got together as they were flying in. They looked dope as hell. So yeah, they're cool in my eyes, but I get it,
I like them all together.
But the tone of the earlier, I get that. Right.
When they show up,
Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that if it wasn't for, what is her name? Who plays? She got off The Mandalorian season 3.
Is it Kara?
Cara Dune, but like I forget, Gina Carano.
Yeah. Okay.
If it wasn't that her character's gone, either
She'd
forever or
yeah,
maybe they'll come back because there's been talks.
sure.
She would definitely be in that
You know,
group.
it's funny when Hera was talking and I didn't like see her face. She was just on comms. It sounded like Cara Dune. Like weirdly enough, they have very similar voices to me. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think the character was good while she was in the first 2 seasons. I'm not like pining to have her back, but she would be cool to have in this instance.
I mean, I really liked her.
Yeah, she was cool. Yeah, but she isn't like what made The Mandalorian for me.
No.
So, yeah.
But I think that's what the New Republic like Squadron show that they were developing.
Right.
This probably would have led into that.
For sure would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bummer we didn't get that. But
I agree.
Yeah, back to the episode.
Sure. The beginning, the cool tone of not knowing what's going on, and you have
stay together.
One of the, for lack of a better word, evil droids pretty much sneak up and attack.
That was a cool little
Huyang.
like fist fight they had.
That was some aggressive droid. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then we get into the chase in the woods. Very cool.
Yeah, Marak and Sin just kind of Shin. They just kind of are just standing there, posted up. They run right into him.
But I like, but even before they get to that, it was Balon saying, or like he was getting reported to, and Shin was saying they won't hold them back long. He's like, but you will.
Yeah. I was like,
this is
hell
great.
yeah, man. Balin. I mean, every line he has, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
He's like your perfect like calculated villain. You know. Yeah. But yeah, so the fight in the woods is very cool. Starts off with Sabine just shooting rapidly at Shin, and they go off in their fight, and then Marak and Ahsoka have like a very almost traditional like lightsaber fight in a way.
Traditional, but
then Marak has like a double lightsaber and
like General Grievous sort of thing,
like spinny thing. And
I'm just personally, I appreciate
you done with the crazy lightsabers.
It was done. No, I like the crazy lightsaber stuff. It's just I'm was it done well? Yeah. But like it's just I was into everything. It's just I don't need the callback to that like Grievous sort of thing.
Yeah. Am I thinking wrong? Didn't like the Grand Inquisitor have it in like the Obi-Wan show, that spinning thing?
I think so too.
Huh.
Like I understand that's like part of I don't need it.
Sure.
I'm just tired of going back to tropes like that.
But yeah, so basically they're Ahsoka and his fight ends as he does the spinny he threatens it, and she just slices him in half pretty much, and green smoke pops out of him, and he screams and then he collapses. Now the green smoke I think is interesting because that has been used with like Night Sister stuff, and we have a Night Sister with us. So people are like, well, she must have reanimated an old Inquisitor, maybe.
Right.
Which is, I think it's disappointing for all of us who were like theorizing about this character, and now he's probably just dead, because they just leave him on the planet. But I don't know. I think because of what's coming, I'm not like super upset about it, but it is a bummer because like I think this was a huge misdirect, right? I mean, like you have to assume that somebody who's full masked up, looks like an Inquisitor, double lightsaber red, like you got to assume something like that's a character from a past show or movie. Bummer that it isn't, but
well, I empathize, but I think that I almost appreciate it more in some ways because I kind of don't need all of the tie-ins.
Sure.
I agree with you. We both thought it could have been like Ezra for some weird reason,
or maybe Starkiller. And I don't even know if I would have wanted that fully, but it would have been cool and interesting. And
it would have been cool and interesting if it was cool and interesting. Like if they had done it in a way that was cool, and because otherwise we'd be like, "What the fuck is this?
Right. You butchered this character."
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I like that it's not fully explained, and we're like, "What was that?"
Yeah.
But like we can kind of infer. And I think I agree with you. Like, that's probably what that was.
Right.
Or, I don't know. I kind of dig that I don't know entirely what that was.
I mean, they don't even ever, like, tell us, Balon or Shin, like, how they came in contact with this guy, why he's with them.
Which, like, is fine with me.
Sure.
I didn't need to know all that about Boba Fett when he shows up in Empire.
That's fair.
And he was cool.
Fair. Yeah. He was in a New Hope, wasn't he, too?
No,
he was in A New Hope.
In
one scene,
the like special edition. He was never.
Well, he was. Maybe they added him in later, but I know he was like standing around when like Jabba the Hutt was like talking to Han.
But
on Tatooine.
That was a special edition thing. Yeah. Like that wasn't original.
Later. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
But yeah,
Marok dies.
Marok dies. Yep. I thought it was interesting. I went, what?
It was kind of a quick fight, but I mean, it was a good fight, so I was okay with it.
The Shin and Sabine fight was pretty cool.
I think that might have been a little better for me. It was a little more exciting.
I think so.
Yeah. And then so Sabine tells her to, I got this, even though I'm a fresh Padawan, I got this against Shin. And I mean, and for the most part, she holds herself up, through Mandalorian and Jedi training. And, but yeah, so she gets pushed down at one point, and a little force push comes out of her, which is very cool. I mean, we hadn't seen her use the force yet, right? I'm not.
No.
Right.
I guess not.
So that's cool that it comes out in a moment of like pure need. And then. Yeah, so Sabine shoots a little like rocket at her or like bullet, and then Shin escapes, and and so then Ahsoka and Balon are about to fight, and they have some cool dialogue beforehand.
They have some really cool dialogue.
Balon somehow knows that Anakin was Darth Vader,
right.
And that Anakin was her master, and that he knew Anakin before the war, and a lot of cool little information dropped right there. But he feels like to create, everything needs to be destroyed, and that's the end of that conversation for Ahsoka. She's like, "All right, you need to die," and I mean, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I mean, she was like, "All right,
okay,
that's enough."
Yeah, and how inevitable, and so good. And,
yeah, I do really. I think this particular fight will be one of the go back to, like, we gotta watch that fight, because that was it. That was a really good
fun
fight.
one. Yeah. But yeah, basically,
which I think is because there was all of that build up, and they like gave it time. And I if I'm remember, we were both.
They were like all true duels, They were all the fights were like true duels,
right.
In a way.
And I was really tired when we watched this.
Yeah, you were.
But if I remember correctly, was there not even like a lot of it was them just in silence doing it, and then eventually it got music going into it? Because I almost like, I appreciate that a lot of like the dialogue, there wasn't music behind it.
I'm sure there was music, but like once it got to the lightsaber,
but at least duels, it was subtle enough that it wasn't like,
overpowering.
Yeah, and I feel like they gave time to those scenes, which is what I liked about the prequels. Is they had crazy lightsaber fights that I do miss those.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I love those fights, and that just like the general choreography of all those scenes were great.
But they would do that where it would be like quiet for a while and then dun, 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 and I'm like, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was a similar thing going
vibe.
on here.
Yeah. I'd have to see it again.
Not as intense as like the Darth Maul or whatever, but
right. Or Mustafar. Yeah. But yeah, so both Shin and Sabine catch up to them while they're fighting, and Ahsoka just like force pushes Shin into a wall and knocks her out, and Balon's like, yo, that's not cool. And basically Sabine catches up, threatens to shoot the map, and Ahsoka, he's just like,
I don't care.
Right, screw it, and just powers her off the cliff.
You won't do it.
And Sabine didn't do it, and Ahsoka falls. And he, is like, he kind of takes a moment, like a deep breath, and like, I almost get the sense that he like just through that action, like knew that like Sabine was struggling with something, and knew maybe what she was struggling with. And
he knows what she's struggling with.
Sure, but I think it was from like him, like, like taking that like deep breath. Like I don't know. He just took like a moment after like they fought, and then like he was like, okay, you're not gonna do it. Like you both know the true way to find your friend, and your whole family died in Mandalore, and which some people were saying that we didn't know whatever happened to Sabine's family, so now we know. So he gets closer and closer, just kind of like, hey, I'll give you my word. Like, you can come with us. You can meet your friend again, and I can become something greater. And she agrees. She gives him the map back. Crazy decision.
I love it. I love it too, so much.
Because it's such an established character. And I don't think it's like an out of character decision.
No.
I just think it's not a good guy decision, and that's an exciting like move for a Star Wars character, I guess.
Yeah.
They could have easily played it safe, but they didn't. And so Sabine, well, she gets force choked by Shin at first, and some people were saying that might be hinting towards like a feud between Balon and Shin later on, which I think it could. She might be darker than him, which I think she might be.
Potentially.
Yeah, but so they all go. They got the map. They go into light speed and screw up the flight pattern of the X-Wings coming in, and a bunch of those guys die, and Hera didn't really do anything technically this episode. And
so that like you were pointing out, Hera, no, like she showed up.
Yeah,
she did.
Because you thought they were just writing her out. Totally.
Well, not writing her out entirely. It was more of they wanted to make it that Ahsoka and Sabine had to do this alone.
Yeah, right.
And
which they did.
Yeah. But the way that they wrote Hera out of not being able to help was just kind of bullshit. Like you could have had her do a number of other things to not be in the picture. Like we set up a decoy thing that she has to explore, and while there is like, well, I have to go investigate this or something. It just felt like, oh, let me talk to the leaders of the universe, of the galaxy, and then they are like, it's probably nothing.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous. Like Mon Mothma should have been like, I don't know, guys.
Well, she was the only one who was like, maybe we should do something about this.
And I get that she's all about democracy.
Yeah,
but like, I was just like, come on, guys. You literally just have a New Republic now, and like you're fucking up already.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I get it. But yeah, so the episode ends on the fact that basically they have light sped off to find Thrawn and possibly Ezra. And it then goes back to the setting where they had the like Balon and Ahsoka fought, and pans to the water, and the water transitions into this like magical blue energy, and Ahsoka wakes up on this like blue magical energy bridge, and
which I think is the Force. Like what happens when you're a Force ghost or something like that.
I think that's what it is, and I think it's that because of what we see right after, where Ahsoka hears like, "Hey, Snips," and didn't think I'd see you so soon, and she turns around and Anakin's standing right there, and I mean that's great to see, and I think the version we get is like the same version we got technically at the end of episode 6, where he's a Force ghost. I think like him looking de-aged was intentional, and so I think that's Force Ghost Anakin. Technically, he's not a Force ghost, but he's like in the Force right now, and Ahsoka might have died, which is kind of insane. But it's very cool that, I mean, we're in the Force possibly. I mean, I don't think we've ever been in the Force, and this is like a whole new realm for Star Wars. And it's so exciting. I'm so excited for next week's episode, and they're releasing it like very limited in theaters for next episode, the first time ever they're doing it for a Star Wars show. So I mean, it's exciting stuff.
Yeah. I think I agree. It's very exciting. If she's dead, I don't know if they've.
I think somehow she'll come back, but I don't know how.
I think I don't know in Rebels or the Clone Wars if they've ever explained like or had moments like this in there, but it's either A, she's dead and she's a part of the Force, or B, she's unconscious and for some reason is able to.
That would be weird for her to be unconscious. But yeah, I mean, it would be, I don't know. I don't like that theory in a way because it's not in line with like the Force Ghost stuff. But
how would you feel if she's dead and then she
comes back?
Yeah.
They'd have to write a really well done explanation. I'll say that it has to be well written.
What if, I don't want to be, rain on anybody's parade, but if that is the case where she's resurrected, if she is dead and we hate it, do we hate this now going into the Space Force bridge?
That's a big risk they're taking with this, and I am trying to have faith in Dave Filoni because he has made a lot of good Star Wars stuff, and he's directing and wrote the next episode, so he's got like full control over it. And
it's interesting. It ended with the Vader theme.
It did, but it's not like Anakin ever had a theme. Like what was Anakin's theme? I don't know.
But just you didn't even have to put the Vader theme.
Sure, you didn't.
Which seems a little foreshadowing.
It's a little ominous.
Yeah,
I feel you. Maybe this is a trick. Maybe somebody's trying to trick Ahsoka into thinking it's Anakin. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's interesting. I know some people were theorizing it's like this thing called the World Between Worlds, which I think is just the Force, and some people were like, oh, this might lead to like Star Wars' own multiverse, and I was like,
oh no, please do not do that.
Yeah, I don't like that theory. I don't think it's right, but that would be awful.
Would actually be awful.
Yep.
No multiverse in Star Wars, please
no.
It's not needed.
It really isn't. Because
then I really won't care about anything.
That might be a point where like a lot of Star Wars fans dip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. But yeah.
Multiverse is really hot, guys. Please.
It's really working well for the MCU right now. So
no.
Yeah, no, it's not. But yeah. I think that's our thoughts on the episode. I think it's a really great episode.
Yeah.
A lot of great fights, some death, and some crazy decisions, and some crazy places we go to. And yeah, I think it's all really, really fun.
And I think we see Thrawn next episode.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
I think we see Ezra next episode, or
possibly
second to last episode.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
lots of Anakin tomorrow, though.
For sure.
Not tomorrow, but
next episode. Yeah.